Okay, we'll see if this goes any better than the last one did. I made an attempt at this and it didn't work very well, so try again. Basically, just me not being smart enough to run the little meeting guy like I need to. So, yeah, I'm doing a Zoom thing before I load this up to YouTube. Anyway, this is a something I've been asked about several times when I've done inventory presentations, how I keep my session notes. And what I do basically is I use an Excel workbook, and I've done a modified version of this so that it'll work for you. And because I've already done the little presentation here or tried to do a presentation here, I've already got some information filled out. 3 students, Bill, Mary, Sue, and we'll just put Phil. So we already have some data already in here, and essentially on this front page what you have is you have the tab number, whatever number, and it goes all the way up to 50. The student name, how much time the student is owed, how many lessons the student is owed, how many weeks till they go green, which means you've met their time for the year, lesson length, and then lessons per week. With Bill, we have him down for 50 minute lessons 3 times a week. Mary, we have down for 45 minutes twice a week. And Sue, we have down for 60 minutes once a month, 0.025 once a month. So just 10 times per year. I don't have any information saved up on Sue yet, or I didn't enter any. And so Sue, we still owe 600 minutes, which is 10 lessons. And we've got 40 weeks until she goes green, basically the end of the school year. And then the the lesson lengths and the quarter. When you are on this front page, the only things you need to enter are the kid's name, and then the lesson length and lessons per week. That's it. And you really only have to do the lesson length and lesson per week if you want to see how many lessons you owe and how many weeks to green. If you don't, just leave it as ones. And actually, you don't even have to leave it as ones if you want to. Like I had it a second ago, I had those just empty, and it shows up as a little Devo kind of a thing, basically because you can't divide by 0. So I have ones in there just kind of as placeholders. So there are a total of 50 different rows here for you to add students' names. And then there are all these little tabs. And your computer screen may or may not go all the way out and show the 50. Maybe it cuts off here around 26, and then you have a little arrow, and then you have to kind of use this little arrow to move over to find the one you want. Hopefully you don't have more than 50 kids. If you do, my sympathies. And then on each of the pages, we'll go here, page 4, which is going to be Phil's, you have up to 200 little different sessions. And what I did with Bill, I just put some stuff in just to put it in. And one of the things you notice is the boxes here will change size depending on how much stuff you type. And so, if you just start typing, we'll go over to Phil. And we'll say, we're going to say we owe Phil 50 minutes. And let's say he just showed up at the beginning of the semester in January. So let's say our first time we see him, let's say it's January 8th or something. We owe him 50 minutes, and then say we're going to see him again on January 10th. And I have no idea what, the year and all that would be, as whether those are real dates or not. They may not be. Now you can keep just entering in the dates manually, and you could say, okay, well the next week would be the 15th, and then this one here would be the 17th, and then you'd have the 22nd and 20. So you could do it if you wanted to. Being an Excel nerd, there's a really easy formula. You can do equals A2 plus 7. And there's January 15th. Then you just copy this and you just paste it. And you can keep copying and pasting to your heart's content. Or if you want to be really lazy about it, you can take the copy these little guys here and then just paste them. And then maybe here in May, let's say you finish at we finish at the end of May anyway. So maybe we only do like one more week, and that's probably the end of our school year. Then for the 50s, again, you can type 50 over and over and over, or you can, copy and paste and make your life a little faster, which is certainly how I prefer to do things, particularly since it is Excel. You know, and one more. There we go. And so now with Phil here, you know, we go to the front page, the tracking, we go up, and we can see that we owe Phil 2,000 minutes here in this semester. And so far, we haven't delivered any. So, you know, now we're saying Phil has 50 of those 50-minute lessons because at School for the Blind in Mexico, our class periods are 50 minutes. So I put my kids down for 50 minutes. As soon as we put in a value here for 50, we see that I owe the kid 40 minutes. And we're going to say I see this kid twice a week. And so now you see I owe this kid 20 weeks of service, 2 lessons per week. Makes it all pretty easy. So you come over here and you write up whatever your session notes are after you see Phil. You know, maybe you were working on Phil works on, doesn't do spell check, by the way, upper hand protective technique. And then whatever all else you want to go into. I mean, you make that as wordy as you want. You know, like with the stuff here from Bill, I can copy a whole bunch of these blahs. And there we go. And we can come over here and yeah, there we go. And now when I hit return, boom, it all shows up. So he worked on his upper hand protective technique, blah, 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 blah. I can't imagine you'd actually have that much to say about upper hand protective technique. And then you just enter the value for however long you saw him. Maybe you only saw him 45 minutes. Something came up. Maybe you only saw him 20 minutes. You had an eval, or I'm sorry, an IEP or something. You know, maybe here on the 10th, maybe Phil wasn't available. Phil was sick. Or Phil was testing. Or Phil was sick of testing. You know, and so if Phil's not available, you know, you zero the times out. And what you'll find is down here at the bottom, which is what gets carried over to that front page, is we went from 2,000 minutes, I think, for owing him 2,000 minutes for the semester to owing him 1,850 because there were some times that Phil wasn't going to be available. And so far, we've only delivered 20 minutes, so we still have a negative balance of 1,830. You go to the front page. Oops, sorry. You go to the front page. The 1,830 is right there. It's showing you've still got 18 more weeks till you get him to where you've met his time, and you still owe him, you know, not quite 37 lessons. And so it transfers all this data up here for you. One of the reasons to do this, and I was messing with this earlier, let me just control all and get rid of all this stuff because it was stuff I was talking about before. With the information here, you can transfer it, you know, to email. You can transfer it to Word. You can, you know, do whatever you need to do. If you come over here to one, you know, you can go to Bill. Now, I had all these listed as bills earlier, but I did something. I did a replace, and so we found all the bills and replaced them with students, but we want them all to say Bill, so we're going to find all the students and we're going to replace them all with Bill. Ta-da, 7 of them. So if you need to, you know, email these to somebody, it's real easy to just copy and replace replace the kid's name, and it'll do it for the entire sheet. When I'm doing my session notes, the only place in this box I put the kid's name is right at the top. Be aware that because there's no spell check, if I write it B-L-I-L and then I do a search for Bill, it won't find the B-L-I-L. And so you do kind of have to scan through and make sure you don't have any bills in there that you don't want if you're sending it to somebody who's not allowed to know Bill's name, research or whatever. Anyway, everywhere else in here, it's just he, or she, depending on the kid. You know, whatever your lessons are, and I had filled these out earlier, the boxes will change. You know, Bill will work on bus travel. So let's say I worked on bus travel again with Bill. You know, instead of doing the stairs or whatever, let's say we did bus travel there. So as soon as I made it smaller, the box just adjusted. For some reason, if the box doesn't adjust, you know, maybe half of this is hidden, you know, because it's kind of like that. You know, well, it's not a big deal. You just come over here to the edge and you just kind of grab them and drag them until you're happy you can see everything you want to see. Now, when you're copying and pasting stuff, say we wanted to copy Bill working on this stuff over here to Word, you do have to be aware that if you just hit Control V, it's not going to show up too well. Basically, it's going to cut off part of what you had written. So instead of doing that, you just go to paste special, and there are a couple of different ways you can do it. If you do a rich text, it'll do something kind of like we just had. It'll keep the boxes, but again, it just kind of throws it off the side there. If you do an unformatted, which is something that if you've seen a video on doing the inventory and the doing the eval piece, which Inventory 5.0 does write your evals now for you. You just do it as an unformatted text, and then it'll show up nice, neat, and able to read the whole thing and all that. And you don't mess with it. But you can play with these, and kind of get it to do however it is you think you want it done. It just whatever floats your boat. It's generally a little easier than this for me when I'm pasting it onto to Word. I generally write here, if I do a right click, I get something and it'll give me some paste options. For whatever reason, it's not doing it tonight. I'm not sure exactly why, but there's this little arrow right here under paste. You just go paste special, and then, whatever you want. I have no idea what picture is going to do. Okay, picture actually worked pretty well. Kept the boxes and made it all fit. So, maybe you want to do it as picture instead. Whatever, it's all good. Whatever fits your needs. If you're needing to dump this into an IEP document for some reason, or a progress note, or some parents just sent you an email saying you haven't seen my kid, and they're mad about your alleged lack of seeing them. You can copy the whole thing with the dates and all, and bring that over here to the Word document, and then again, you just paste special, and that picture thing worked pretty well. Try that again. Oh yeah, that works out really well because it kept the date and the time you saw him and the time you owed and the difference, and so then mom can see that yeah, you really did whatever it was you were supposed to be doing. Your administrator, if you save this on your district's server, your administrator could look in on it. I've had mine on my server for years. I have no idea if any of my administrators are looking in, but they could be. They could just, pull it up randomly and see, what's going on with Bill. Or maybe they know that Bill's mom's on the warpath about something, and so they want to make sure that, that they know everything about Bill, and they don't have to ask me. I did have a superintendent once ask for a specific kid. They wanted session notes. I was actually, I think, two or three different kids. They wanted all the session notes, everything we had on these kids. One of them was mine. One was an O&M who doesn't really use computers when they can be avoided. And so there was a lot of copying, photocopying, and whatnot over there. Me, I just copied it, pasted it into an email, and sent it. I was done in 2 minutes. And so if you get a request for it, it's easy to send off. So you just put whatever the time you saw the kid, for the bus travel things here, we have them down for 300 minutes because maybe I saw him on a Saturday or something. And then you just change the date to whatever you need it to be, or make the date whatever you want it to be. It's an easy way to keep track of all your kids. Mary, the reason she's green is, you have your theoretical things. The random words out here were me finding stuff. That Control F again. If you need to find something, say you wanted to find out if Mary was doing whatever kind of a street crossing, and you were just needing to scan the session notes very quickly, you could put in Y intersection. Well, inter is what we have up here, or the word pig, and there's the word pig there, and you find it next, and see it goes down. Even though we couldn't see it earlier, it bounces down to there, and then you can see it and examine it all. Anyway, so we're saying we owed Mary all this time, and we saw Mary all those sessions, and then we didn't owe Mary this one here on January 2nd, but we saw her anyway. As soon as you get above 0 or above a 1 minute, the line goes green. That tells you you've met the kid's time for the year. And so with Bill, for example, if we have a couple more of these these really long lessons for bus travel or what have you, you get a few more of these in here, and then Bill's going to be green too, because we instead of owing him 600 minutes, we're 350 minutes on the green side. So not only have we met Bill's time for the year, we've more than met his time. We've exceeded it. And if you've hit that point in March, I mean, my kids start going green, March, early mid-March is where the first of them will go green. And then, just depends how many times extra I'm able to see them during the year. And then, April, May, the rest of them all go green, and then they're all green by the end. If they're not, then it's a problem. And then I can see that, oh, I still owe Sue however much time, 600 minutes. Oh my God, it's May. Well, that's going to be a bit of a problem. Anyway, you can kind of see this during the year. And so, the reason I did the whole go green thing was it just makes me feel good when kids go green. And then I know that, okay, if an IEP comes up, I don't have to worry about, making up that kid's time. Still going to see them more, the regularly scheduled lessons as much as possible, obviously. But, it's nice to know that you don't have to scramble to try to make something up. I mean, if you can tell mom, look, we went and we did all these bus lessons and stuff and all that extra time. Parents understand that, they, even the ones who are unhappy, generally speaking, they want what's right for their kid. And if they can see you're doing right by their kid, most parents are going to be fine with it. Fine, you gave more time earlier than maybe later, whatever. Anyway, though, so you just put on this page here, once you get the dates set up, and, it's an easy formula to do, or you can just manually type them in every time you see the kid. That works too. You put in the how much he is owed, and that's real easy. I do that at the I do the date at the beginning of the year. I do the owed at the beginning of the year all the way through. And then the time seen is just whenever I see that kid. Like I said, I mean, if I only see the kid 45 minutes for whatever reason, I'll put 45 minutes, and then it'll show, oh, I was 5 minutes short that day. And then down there at the bottom again, it just keeps track for you and shows you exactly, where you are, how much time you owe the kid or how much time you don't owe the kid. Over here with Phil, we owe him 1,830 minutes because he was gone those 3 or whatever, and then, we've only seen him for 20 minutes. So, it's an easy way to keep track of everything and keep it organized. You can email this to yourself. You can put it on a thumb drive, whatever. So it's your documentation for all your kids for the year, the entire school year. It's just an easy thing for you to be able to do in order to try to make the session notes a little less painful, especially the keeping track of time. This does all that timekeeping piece for you. And so again, trying to make your life a little bit easier on that paperwork aspect. Obviously, there's nothing we can do with the session notes. This is your liability. Definitely, when you're doing these, be descriptive. Talk about your, whatever you did at the plus intersection with the stoplight, clockwise, counterclockwise, blah, blah, blah. How the kid did or didn't do. Not a bad way to kind of look at it. And also, when you're going through at the beginning of the day, what am I going to do with Phil today? Well, or what am I going to do with Bill today, since I got a bunch of things here on Bill? Well, you can kind of look, well, we were working on this. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, we needed to get back to working on the ascending stairs because all this says he's still terrible at it. Or, all this says he's great, and then I just want to check again, maybe down here somewhere, make sure the stairs are still good, and then, make whatever adjustments to the kid's score on the inventory, all that kind of stuff. So it's a tool for you to use. It's free, and it'll come with this blank here. Obviously no kids' names, no times, all that. It'll just be a bunch of zeros with a couple of ones, and the ones again are just keep this from doing some Devo stuff. And again, there are some protections built in here for formulas, but all you need to do is put the kid's name, what your lesson lengths are, and what your lessons, or how many lessons per week. That's it. And you don't even have to do these last two if you don't really care about this little part right here. Don't have to do it at all. This is the important part, the time you owe him. I just kind of like seeing that, oh yeah, it's going to be 18 weeks, and then, Phil's time is going to be met. Or, hey, I met her time last week, or I met his 2 weeks ago. It's definitely sort of a motivational thing for me. So